Okay, so let's go back to our views folder. And I'm going to create a new SwiftUI view. And I want this app to be in multiple languages. So I want us to test localization. So I'm going to call this test localize. And let's embed this text in a VStack. And I'm going to write the following. I'm going to write game over. And now I'm going to duplicate this several times. So game over, I'm going to have score, I'm going to have level, and so on. Now, we need to really be accurate when we type this out because the spelling will be crucial. So I'm going to have game, I'm going to have high scores. We're also going to have rank, name, and save. Okay, these will be the words the pieces of text we'll be using in this project. Maybe I'll just change the font, .font to .title. And let's actually copy this. Okay. Now I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go to the constants folder. Click on constants. And actually, excuse me, I'm going to click on adding game over here. And in the project, I'm going to press on adding game. And I'm on info over here. And notice down here you have localization. And I'm going to add a bunch of languages. Okay, so I'm going to press plus sign. So I'd like to support, for instance, Arabic. I'd like our game to support, say, French. So I'm pressing a plus sign and say, let's support Hebrew. I just want to show you how easy it is to support multiple languages. Let's support Italian. Right, plus sign. Let's support Portuguese. I see Portuguese, Brazilian, or Brazil. I honestly don't know the difference. So please feel free to correct me. Let's do Spanish. And finally, Turkish. Okay, and it would be really nice if you would add more localizations. These are just a sample. Okay, great. And the next thing I want to do is now click on the constants folder, press Command N, and so far we've been using Swift files and SwiftUI views. But now I'm going to go to the filter and search for strings. So I want strings file. Okay, so selecting strings file, next. And this is called localizable, and I'm not going to change this, so create. And I'm going to erase this comment. Now we had a bunch of text in test localize. So I'm actually going to copy this and I'm going to go to the localizable folder and just paste this in. But I'm going to remove the words text and the trailing parentheses. So to do that real quick, I could of course, find and replace, right? If I select this, Command F, copy this, press this down arrow and select replace. So I'm just going to replace it with nothing and then all. Okay. Next, I'm just going to duplicate these strings. So score, level, game, high scores, rank, name, save. And this is all very bad because in this file, every line needs to end with a semicolon. And I almost always forget this. So we're good at this point. Great. Now, notice that I opened this up over here, right? So we have this part of the screen. And let's click on the button Localize. Okay, Localize, right? We have localization. Click on Localize. Do you want to localize this file? Yes, I do. Localize. Now let's go back to the right here. We have a bunch of languages and only English is checked. So I'm going to select Arabic, select French, Hebrew, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, Turkish. And now over on the left, we no longer have a localizable file. We have a localizable folder with all of these options, right? English, which we just did, Arabic, which looks nothing like Arabic, French, Hebrew, Italian. So really, we have a lot of work to do. Now, luckily, I went ahead and just created these translations using the forces of Google. So for instance, game over will be translated to this in Arabic, level will be translated to this, and so on. For French, I also made a bunch of translations and made sure to have semicolons at the end of each line. Usually when I have a bug, it's because I forgot a semicolon, and Xcode gives really weird errors. It's kind of hard to figure that one out. So all of these lines must end with a semicolon. And really, you don't want to make any spelling mistakes on the left, because otherwise it just won't localize correctly. Okay, so I'm moving on to Italian, moving on to Portuguese, and I don't really know if these translations are correct, so feel free to correct me. Spanish, I know a little bit Spanish, so whatever I do know does look correct. Turkish. Okay, great. So we have our localizations. Now let's go back to the test localized view. And let's test this out, right? So what I'm going to do is up here, click on Product, Scheme, and we could do Edit Scheme, but I'd like to create a new scheme. Let's create a new scheme. And I'm going to call this Adding Game French. Okay, so this will be our French version. I clicked OK. Now up here you see, if I click, we have Adding Game French versus Adding Game. And I don't see any difference because there is no difference. Let's go back to Adding Game French. And now I'm going to go to Product, Scheme, Edit Scheme. So I could have done Command left equality, left inequality. I'm just going to wait a moment so you can see this. So Product, Scheme, Edit Scheme. And now, for the app language, I'm going to select French. And for the system region, let's say France. Let's close this. Now, we're currently in the Adding Game French version. And we need to wait for Xcode. We're used to waiting for Xcode in the preview. And we have French here, okay? Now, I would like to show you something really interesting. If I go to the VStack and add alignment dot leading, as one would expect, it shifts to the left. But now, let's create another edit scheme. Now, I don't really have to create an edit scheme, right? I could do product scheme. Instead of creating a new scheme, I could just do edit scheme. But let's create a new scheme. So I'm going to call this Adding Game Arabic. And now let's actually make changes. So Command left arrow. And I'm going to use, for the language, Arabic, and the region, I don't know, let's say Iraq, for instance. Okay, or Syria, or close. I don't think the region really will matter. I don't think it matters. It matters more for like time and date localization. And this might take some time, and actually sometimes it's buggy, so I found that I need to do Option Command Enter, Option Command Enter. And it works. And notice that the Arabic is shifted to the right because Arabic's from right to left. And so on. You can try all these localizations. Now, the spelling is crucial. If you didn't get one of these, that means you have a spelling mistake somewhere. Like if I were to change the save to a lowercase save, then that should become English. So let's see that. So the save is in English now, right? Notice that, because I have a spelling mistake. Or maybe I just wanted it intentionally in English, even though that would be kind of weird. So I'm going to go back to capital S, and I'm also going back to just our adding game, just the regular adding game, and okay. So this was just for testing purposes, okay? Because I found when I do localizations, usually I make a typo somewhere. Okay, so that's great. So I think we can take a break now. So have an amazing day and see you next time.